Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming, and welcome to a quick benchmark performance video for Forza Horizon 4 with the RX 570 and the Ryzen 5 1600. So I recently got the Xbox Game Pass again, and this time I thought I'll do a test with the RX 570 because previously I played the game with the R9 380 and my old monitor as well. So I have a new monitor, a 144Hz monitor, and the RX 570. So I thought I'll see how the game runs, because Forza Horizon is a game that is very well optimized for Radeon graphics, because even something like a 5700 XT can match the 2080 Ti. It's only for this game, but it tends to work well with this game. So the RX 570 is a decent mid-range card, and I thought I'll see what kind of performance I get. So I did a few runs. I tried one on the Ultra preset, and then I tested the high preset and a custom preset to see what sort of frame rates I get. So I just wanted to discuss the results and also recommend what you should use if you have an RX 570 or a similar card, or anything better in fact. So the game of course has a built-in benchmark that simulates a short race and incorporates all the elements that are needed to test your graphics card. So you have things like a lot of cars in closed space, a lot of public, then you have the night mode, you have rain, you have open country roads, lighting, things like that. So it tries to put everything together in this short benchmark and give you the results. So this one in the background I believe is the game running on the high preset, the default preset, and I was getting pretty decent frames here. I'll let this one run to show you what the whole thing looks like. So you can see here quite a lot of cars. It was like the busy festival area. Now we are outside in the countryside, and you have a few cars close to each other. You're racing the F40. Now you can see rain here, trees and greenery, so it's a bit more open. This section will give you more FPS because there's not a lot of crowd here, but you can see the cars coming together. FPS will fluctuate a little bit. Now once again we are out in the open. You should get more FPS, more gap between the cars, so less detail to render, I guess, for the GPU. Then now you can see we are into the night mode. There's still rain, so it tries to do all the things that are needed to test your GPU in different settings, and we should be close to the end of this benchmark. Now of course I ran the high preset a multiple amount of times, and you get slight variations, a few FPS up and down. So this should be it, and there we are. So here you can see 88.3 was the average FPS, minimum was 76.5, and the maximum was 104.9, so about 105. Here you can see they also give you something like the stutter count. This is something that you need to keep in mind as well, because the more stutter you have, the less you'll enjoy the game, I suppose. So you can see these are the presets here. Now remember to turn off VSync, because in this first run I forgot to turn it off, although it did not bother me because afterwards I did the same thing again and we got similar results. But what it tends to do is, if you're doing multiple runs and you leave the vertical sync on, it will basically try to save the FPS and try to match it to the next one, so you may not get the maximum performance. So just keep that in mind. So what I also did later on was, in fact, let me show you the results of the Ultra preset first. So these are the results for the Ultra preset, because you can see everything is identical, but everything on Ultra. So we're getting 69.6 average, 48.9 minimum. So you can see here there was a big dip in one of the sections where the cars are very close to each other. And I saw brief, I could notice it when I was watching it as well. So the Ultra preset, in my opinion, you can get over 60 most of the time based on the average, but there will be dips below 60. So I would recommend you go for a bit lower, and the reason I think is probably because of the VRAM. If you have more VRAM, if you have like say 8 GB VRAM on your RX 570 or a 580 something, you should be fine here. But 4 GB VRAM might be the issue here, I think, because of the Ultra settings. It was running comfortably over 60, but occasionally you saw it dip a bit below. You can see here, this should give you a clue as to why we were having this issue. We need this to be under 3.2, so maybe that was the reason. Now this is the same sort of high preset, but with a few changes. What I've done is lowered the reflection and the mirror quality, and also the shadow and motion blur. And what I've also done is I've increased the MSAA to 8x and turned on FXAA. But this MSAA tends to hit your performance quite hard as well. So we're getting 71.9 and 63.9 as the minimum. If you remember the high preset, we were getting about 76.5 minimum and about 80 something average, and the maximum was 105 roughly. So it does hit you about 15 FPS, just the MSAA part. So what I also did was I kept these things at low, but put the MSAA back to 2x. So these are the results with the MSAA back to 2x and FXAA still on. You can see now we are averaging 91, minimum 79, and FPS 106. The reason why this is slightly higher is because, of course, some of these reflections and motion blur, shadow stuff, I've reduced it. So I would say if you are just interested in getting a comfortable 60 FPS performance at minimum 60 FPS, and if you have a GPU with 8 GB VRAM or maybe even 6 GB VRAM, you should comfortably get over 60 FPS on the Ultra preset. But if you have a GPU like me with 4 GB VRAM, then high would be better for you. You can still tweak it a bit more to get more FPS if you want a higher FPS, but as long as you're getting comfortably over 60, then I think it shouldn't matter. So just the basic high preset will get you well over 60 FPS. Minimums will be in the high 70s, and you can tweak a few things. Like personally, I reduce the motion blur as much as possible. Shadows we can sacrifice a bit because I don't care about shadows that much. Similarly for things like mirror quality or windscreen reflections, I don't care. I mean, I want the car to look good, the detail around us to look good, but I don't really care about how the cars reflect in the puddle of water on the road. So yeah, you can also see here the VRAM utilization is much lower as well. So just tweak around with this, and yeah, my recommendation is this setting here if you want comfortably over 60 FPS. In fact, here minimums are almost 80 FPS and average is about 90, which is pretty good. And otherwise, if you want a simple setup, high preset, if you have a GPU with 8 GB RAM, a 570 or above, then Ultra will be fine as well. So yeah, this was just a quick video. I thought I'll try it out because I know this game runs very well on the Radeon graphics 570 or above, and you can actually get ultra performance on this game with a 570, which is surprising. I was really surprised because this is a fairly new game. Car, world detail looks really good, and at 1080p getting ultra performance from a budget card, that's pretty good. So hopefully this was useful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.